Would you like to add a good habit to your life? Do you have any bad habits limiting your full potential? Tiny changes give remarkable results. Atomic Habits shows us how to harness our mindset to improve our daily lives. We often fail to break bad habits, not because we don't want to, but because we don't have the tools. How we can build good habits. So how we can build, it's all about consistency. When you read 2 pages of a book every day, you probably wouldn't feel any wiser. If you read a chapter every day, for a month, you will complete the book and feel highly accomplished. A chocolate bar would not expand your waistline unless you start eating it each day for a month. You see how the compound effects of a small daily habit can create a lasting change. Atomic Habits covers the latest science behind what drives our behavior. Chapter 1. The big impact of small change. A streetlight reduces the crime rate significantly. Meaningful impacts are often the result of just one small change. For example, Dr. Anna Thorndike wanted to improve her patients' dietary habits without requiring them to make conscious decisions. She replaced unhealthy soda, drinks with bottles of water in the fridges. Within 3 months, soda sales dropped by 11, while water sales shot up by 25. Replacing the cue of seeing soda with water changed her hospital patients' behavior. But to harness the power of habits, we need to understand them first. Roughly 45% of what we do is based on habit. Habits automate repetitive daily tasks by tapping into our subconscious. Automated habits can free up our brain power for creative processes. But that does not mean that all the automated habits are beneficial, such as smoking. Smokers often use a cigarette to relieve anxiety. The behavior of using cigarettes is a short-term coping mechanism that can have long-term health hazards. However, the goal is to understand and then to revise your habitual behavior. Let's explore how habits are formed by looking at the science. Chapter 2. 4-step execution process. The author describes the 4-step process. Cue, craving, response, and finally, a reward. Cues are something that we notice. Cravings are linked to our desire for rewards. Responses are what we do to get these rewards. Finally, the rewards are pleasurable feelings that we get. But the question is, when does this process create a habit? A coffee lover's cue is waking up in the morning. Their craving is wanting to feel awake. The response is stumbling to the kitchen to make coffee. Finally, their reward is sipping on the coffee. And their habits start identifying them as morning coffee people. Our brains are also hardwired to dislike delays and hassles. If you had to complete a crossword puzzle to turn on your coffee machine, your coffee ritual might be less habitual. James Clear calls this task friction. When friction is high, habits are difficult. So, now let's look at how we make use of this process for self-improvement. James Clear emphasizes that our environment shapes what we do. There are 4 tricks to making good habits stick. Tricks are: make the hobbies obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Imagine that you want to get better at playing guitar. First, you need to make the habit cue obvious. Put your guitar in a place where you'll see it and where it's easily accessible. That way, you'll tend to play it more. Do you want to eat better? Make it easy. Start by reducing task friction, such as bulk cooking your healthy meals. Lastly, make it satisfying. Don't eat carrot sticks if carrots aren't your thing. Rather, find healthy snacks that you enjoy. The more you enjoy doing something, the more likely you are to stick with it. For bad habits, we'll flip all these ideas around, doing the opposite. Make them invisible, unattractive, more difficult, and ultimately unsatisfying. So place junk food out of sight. Only allow yourself to smoke outside in the cold. However, change is never easy. Building a house that becomes a home for good habits takes some work. Unfortunately, good habits are harder to build. It's likely that when you start to develop a good habit, you'll feel frustrated in the beginning. The goal of sticking to good habits is trusting in their trajectory. So, we need effective strategies to up our game. Chapter 3. Start and stack. The first strategies for building good habits are: start and stack. It may sound cliche, but you must focus on the start and not the finish line. We end up trying to do too much too soon. This early enthusiasm often leads to disappointment. We don't get our desired results quickly enough, and we lose interest. Here is where the 2-minute rule comes in. James Clear advises us that when starting a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to initiate, such as changing your focus from finishing a book, just reading 3 pages. You can also stack a new habit on top of a habit that's already in place. If you want to start a daily meditation practice, tie this habit to your trusty morning coffee ritual. Turn on the kettle and use this as the cue to sit silently for a few minutes. But to make habits stick specific, synchronize and keep score. To stick to our habits, we also need to build in rewards. Here is where the scoreboard strategy comes in. Comedian Jerry would mark a big X on his calendar for every day that he came up with a joke. His goal wasn't about coming up with the best joke. It was simply not to break the chain, to make sure that he kept building on his material. As with Jerry, you can also utilize a habit tracker, which measures your progress. So if you turn these small changes into a habit chain, then you'll probably change your life for the better. See you next time.